The second generation version of Kia's fully electrified Niro model gets more appealing packaging inside and out. But otherwise, this Niro EV is a fairly subtle evolution of its e-Niro predecessor. Still, that's enough to make it a very good car indeed.
This Niro EV may be very differently packaged to its e-Niro predecessor, but its powertrain looks familiar, at least on paper. The front-mounted motor still puts out 201 brake horsepower. It still works through the same single-speed EV auto transmission, and the class-leading 285-mile driving range figure is just 3 miles better than that of the previous model, which is because this car's battery, though apparently completely new, is only a fractional 0.8 kilowatt hours larger than before at 64.8 kilowatt hours. Kia no longer offers full electric Niro customers a smaller battery option. The Korean maker hasn't taken the opportunity of introducing its latest 800-volt electrical architecture either. That would require the more sophisticated eGMP platform of this car's larger EV6 showroom stablemate. Nevertheless, the underpinnings here are different, and significantly so. The switch from the old e-Niro's elderly J platform to this replacement car's K3 chassis has given Kia's engineers a more rigid basis from which to try and improve this model's driving dynamics, which were somewhat lacklustre in its previous guise. Sure enough, the Niro EV turns into corners with a tad more enthusiasm and rolls a little less, though the differences aren't that great, and there's still something of the feel of operating an appliance rather than immersion into the driving experience. It's better though than what's served up by the full hybrid version of this same car. The Niro EV's extra 443 kilograms of battery weight helps rather than hinders it here, mainly because all that bulk has been well positioned to lower the centre of gravity. For some reason there's a fraction more steering feedback too, though it's still disappointingly remote, even if you select Sport, the most vivid of the 3 available drive modes, accessed via this curiously positioned steering wheel button. Of more interest perhaps are the variable settings for the brake regeneration system, accessed via these steering wheel paddles. Repeated pulling on the left-hand one will take you all the way to a maximum I-pedal option that basically means you'll hardly ever need to use the actual brake pedal, except when coming to a complete stop. Charging speeds, still capped at 72 kilowatts, are a little slower than class rivals, but you can still get a 10 to 80% battery replenishment in 45 minutes at a 100 kilowatt charging station. This Kia's grown a little this time round, 4,420 millimetres long and standing 1,570 millimetres high, which makes it 65 millimetres longer and 10 millimetres taller than before. But it still can't quite make up its mind whether it wants to be a crossover, as suggested by the roof rails, these wider lower side rubbing strips and the wheel arch cladding, or a family hatch, which is probably what you think this car was if those features were removed. Big wheels also fit the fashion remit. On all variants, you get these smart 17-inch alloys with a style and size bespoke to this EV variant. The final touch is probably the most eye-catching, the option of this colour-contrasted so-called Joy for Reason C-pillar design, which you only get with his top 4 spec trim level, and which comes in either black pearl or, as here, in a steel grey finish unique to this EV. Kia insists this feature isn't just there for fashion. It stands proud of the bodywork, supposedly improving aerodynamic efficiency. The front is where you might stand the best chance of differentiating this EV Niro model from its otherwise identical-looking hybrid and plug-in hybrid showroom stablemates. The upper and lower grilles are unique to this model, and the central nose section is wider, so it can accommodate this big central charging flap. Otherwise, the look is as with any other Niro, the front end showcasing Kia's current opposites united design ethos, complete with angular, heartbeat daytime running lights. And this lower skid plate is supposed to enhance this Niro's crossover pretensions. Even the rear makes a statement with boomerang-shaped LED lights smeared up the corner pillars and a prominent roof spoiler topping off the tailgate, emphasising this second-generation model's 20mm increase in width. Time to take your place at the wheel, which, as with the previous generation version of this model, is a point in your acquaintance with this car when you might begin to doubt its crossover credentials. Absolutely nothing's been carried over from before, and there's a considerably higher feeling of quality, particularly in this higher spec version, which decorates the angular dash with these twinkling twin 10.25-inch screens. The centre monitor has a very comprehensive array of battery-related features in its EV section, while on the instrument display, the right-hand power meter incorporates a useful gauge showing the battery regen level you've selected with these steering wheel paddles. Design touches borrowed from other recent Kias include this circular gear controller and this central touch sensitive strip, which hosts either the climate controls or the infotainment system hotkeys, depending which of its two display settings you've chosen. All the right eco boxes are ticked too, thanks to a cabin headliner made from recycled wallpaper and faux leather upholstery fashioned from a bio-PU material containing healing eucalyptus oil. As with the previous e-Niro, the seating position is a fraction higher than the norm, and across the range the seats are well upholstered and supportive for longer journeys. There's plenty of cabin storage space too. Right, let's take a look in the back. Here's where the real benefits of that switch to this Mark II model's more sophisticated K3 platform are revealed. There's more legroom than you get with most class rivals, and headroom's good too, even with this sunroof fitted. As you'd expect from an EV, there's no centre transmission tunnel, so if you had to fit 3 adults in the back here for a short trip, it'd probably be easier than would be the case with a combustion-powered hatch in this class. Finally, let's take a look in the boot, accessed on this top-spec model by a power-operated tailgate. You might expect the Niro variant with the largest drive battery, this one, to have the smallest boot, but actually the opposite is true, with 475 litres of capacity on offer. This car can swallow 7 carry-on suitcases and offers the largest cargo area in the Niro range, shading the hybrid version with 451 litres and way ahead of the plug-in hybrid derivative, which can offer only 348 litres. The rear bench doesn't offer a ski hatch or a 40-20-40 split, but at least when the 60-40 split backrest folds, it folds down nearly flat. The space then freed up is 53 litres less than you'd get in the Niro hybrid, but at 1,392 litres will be sufficient for the needs of most owners. And we're not quite finished either, because unlike a lot of its competitors, including the Enyaq iV, this Kia also provides a small frunk compartment beneath the bonnet. At 20 litres in size, it's not very big, but it might be useful for a charging lead or two. You might be tempted to conclude that what's on offer here is a completely rejuvenated product in every way, except the one that really matters, the powertrain that drives it. The clever 800-volt platform in Kia's larger EV6 led us to hope for real advances in that regard, but in terms of battery tech and driving range, there haven't been too many of those in the evolution that's brought us this Niro EV. Its predecessor set a fresh class standard in terms of driving range, and that advantage still remains here. Where the brand has now slipped behind its rivals, though, is in terms of charging times, the very area where the EV6 now helps to set the industry standard. The difference compared to rivals, though, isn't large enough for this issue to be a deal breaker. Far more significant are the changes made to this car's exterior styling and its cabin, which have been as far-reaching as those to the more sophisticated K3 platform that now underpins it. The idea with this redesign was clearly to lower this car's age demographic without alienating its core market, and the improvements made should certainly achieve that. The important thing is that a Niro EV makes life as easy as it possibly could be for its driver. Plus, it can be kitted out with luxury electronics, and it comes with that class-leading 7-year warranty. This is a more confident product from a now more confident brand. And there's lots to admire about the way this car has finally found its spark.